don't expect you to answer this for other law schools, but how much weight does the interview carry relative to the rest of the file, or how are you guys considering it in conjunction with everything else that you read?
It can totally depend. It can totally depend. So many interviews, like the file suggests that the person's awesome and a great student and like a lovely community member and someone who's going to be a leader. And you meet them for 20 minutes on Zoom and you're like, yep, all of my impressions are confirmed. That's so many interviews. And so for there, it's like, I wouldn't say, oh, therefore the interview had no weight. It was more that the interview aligned with all of the rest of the impressions. And so it was an opportunity for us to get to know the individual a little bit better, start forming a relationship with the person. Sometimes our relationships as admissions officers with people who are 3Ls on our campus are really rooted in that interview experience, right? So I think applicants focus on, gosh, is the interview going to get me in or not? We're also focused on, am I developing a relationship with all of my incoming students? Right? Am I going to developing the beginnings of sometimes like a lifelong relationship with these folks? But that's so many interviews, right? So it's the weight it had was it kind of confirmed and affirmed the impressions left by reading the application in the first place. There are interviews where, look, if you got an interview, your application was relatively strong. And so an interview, it could be a chance for you to really show your stuff and shine. And to the extent there were kind of questions about your application or people weren't really sure about something, or the reader wanted to clarify certain aspects of your trajectory or your professional trajectory or kind of what you're interested in doing in the future, or whether you're interested in HLS at all, your interview is a chance to kind of respond to all of those potential concerns that somebody has. Every once in a while, somebody really tanks it with an interview. Like you'd be amazed. Like sometimes people really can tank it, and it's usually something like, trashing a professor, or sharing an anecdote like the one I shared, where it's like, in the end, it was everybody else's fault but mine, or not showcasing much interest in all HLS, or sometimes even being like kind of negative about HLS, right? So sometimes we ask people, what are the pros and cons you see of coming to Harvard for law school? And we do generally want you to share at least one thoughtful pro and one thoughtful con. But we've interviewed some people who just like, really, it's very evident they don't want to go there. And then it kind of feels like, well, why did you take this interview, dude? We didn't have to have this 20-minute conversation. I could have gotten a coffee down the hall. So that's kind of a rare case. In those circumstances, though, the interview does carry a lot of weight. And it can make it a lot harder to decide to move forward.